Mind control continues to be one of the most popular flavors in adult gaming. I mean, it makes sense. We're dealing with power fantasy. And the ability to gain or relinquish control through chemical, magical, or behavioral techniques is a highly effective tool to build that fantasy. However, we have seen an increase in the censorship and banning of many variations of this flavor, especially on Patreon. This has caused a change in how developers portray mind control, and in some cases, like with Seeds of Chaos, the rewrite of entire sections of the game to remove it. As I've said before in many videos, consent in fiction is between the creators of the fiction and the people who consume it. When I read a horror novel, I am consenting to being scared. I don't expect the fictional characters in the book to consent to being murdered by the monster. They are fictional. No one expects the characters in Bobby Kotick's latest murder simulator to consent to being murdered. But for some reason, we have different rules when it comes to sexual content in video games than we do towards violence and other crimes in video games. So please take that hypocrisy into consideration as we look at these 10 games on Steam that have a focus on mind control. First up is Lust Epidemic and its sequel, Treasure of Nadia. These two titles actually do a great job showing the adaptations that developers had to come up with after Patreon changed its policies on mind control. Lust Epidemic is a Scooby-Doo style adventure where there are mysterious mind control potions that cause an aphrodisiac-like effect, where the same-ish mind control potions in Treasure of Nadia have basically morphed into recreational aphrodisiac drugs. Seriously though, surreptitiously giving people aphrodisiacs and mind control potions have been a staple of fiction for thousands of years. Just ask Circe from Homer's Odyssey. Even with the mind control modifications, these two games are an excellent exploration of this flavor. With everything I have seen from the third game, the Genesis Order, this trilogy has the potential to be the best mind control series on Steam. Not just out of the games with adult content, though the partial voicing and animations definitely help. Lust Epidemic and Treasure of Nadia are available for PC, Mac, Linux, SteamOS, and Android between Steam and their Patreon. Next up is the latest English translation of the popular VenusBlood series from Japan, VenusBlood Hollow International. This is the 8th game of the franchise, and was originally titled VenusBlood Hypno. But the title was changed because erotic hypnosis seems to be one of those variations of mind control that is getting a lot of pushback. Someone should probably break it to all of the vampires. Not those vampires, the less evil ones. Perfect. As with the rest of the series, VenusBlood Totally Not Hypno focuses on strategy elements, corruption, mind control, and tentacles. While I prefer the other VenusBlood game on Steam, VenusBlood Frontier, Hollow definitely has more of a focus on the mind control flavor. Both games are voiced in Japanese, but there are no animations. There is also an English and Chinese version of VenusBlood Gaia coming out this summer. Between the 3 games, that is a whole lot of tentacles. VenusBlood Hollow and Frontier are both available for PC on Steam. Sometimes mind control can be more subtle. In Mistwood Manor, you run a hotel where your female guests and employees all slowly succumb to the powers of a mystical eldritch force. With gradually changing outfits and tiers of influence, this is a fantastic, slower-paced descent into corruption combined with hotel management gameplay and smooth animations with sound. While this is definitely not the game for anyone looking for instant gratification, if you are looking for a story-driven buildup of sexual tension with multiple endings, then I highly recommend giving Mistwood Manor a try, available for PC and Mac on Steam and their Patreon. If you're looking for a slightly more active version of mind control, you could always go with Snow Days: The Music of Winter. In it, you are snowed in and decide to gradually modify the behavior of everyone you live with using a metronome. Why? The mind control flavor does require a hefty dose of the suspension of disbelief. How far you take this control, and how successful you end up becoming, are up to your choices in this visual novel. But the game is fully voiced even if there are no animations. Snow Days: The Music of Winter is available for PC, Mac, SteamOS, and Linux on Steam. Take the same theme and apply it to a school, and you get Simon Gakushu's Secret Desire. You're just using a sleep machine this time around, and there does seem to be a stronger focus on corruption. This is fully voiced in Japanese, but there are no animations. Simon Gakushu's Secret Desire is available for PC on Steam. Modifying the behavior of everyone around you seems to be the go-to choice of every protagonist given mind control powers. In Dreams of Desire Definitive Edition, you discover a magical tome, and your biggest decision now is if you follow a more corruptive or romantic path. I mean, as romantic as you can expect to get using mind control. This probably counts as a little more duplicitous than lying about your height or your weight on a dating site. Just saying. Otherwise, the story is good, and the overall pacing is decent. There are also animations, but they are silent. Dreams of Desire Definitive Edition is available for PC, SteamOS, and Linux on Steam, and for PC, Mac, and Android on their Patreon. Looking for a female protagonist mind control game? Check out Third Crisis. I mean, this is a female protagonist adult content game, so the focus is going to be on corruption. But the shade of corruption is powered by a mass-produced corporate mind control device. So if you're looking for a preview of the dystopic future our corporate overlords seem to be hurting us to, feel free to check out Third Crisis. Available for PC on Steam and for PC, Android, and in-browser on itch.io and their Patreon. In Corruption of Champions 2, you can be whatever you want, and that will continue to change throughout the game. Through a not-so-healthy amount of magic, chemicals, and mind control, you can literally become all that you can imagine. Male, female, furry, human. Parts and functions are as interchangeable and fluid as pronouns on Tumblr. This text-heavy game is absolutely more about the journey than it is about the destination. But for those of you looking to explore a ton of flavors and do a ton of reading, I highly recommend checking it out. Corruption of Champions 2 is available for PC, SteamOS, and Linux on Steam, with a playable version in browser available on their Patreon. And finally, we have Pact with a Witch. This is a Kafka-esque exploration of sexuality, gender, and magical mind control. I'm not sure what this game is exactly about, and I've done a full review of it. And not one of those lame reviews like Dean Takahashi did for Cuphead for VentureBeat. I think that for many people looking to explore their sexuality and or gender identity, having magical forces controlling their in-game behavior allows them a safer way to explore than if it was an active choice. This is the biggest problem with Patreon's decision to ban flavors like transformation and mind control. They are preventing people from having a safer and healthier way to explore their sexuality and identity. By banning these and other forms of fictional content, Patreon is literally making the world a less safe place. So if you're looking for a more sexually and gender-fluid magical mind control experience, I highly recommend giving Pact with a Witch a shot. Available for PC, Mac, and Android for free on Steam, Patreon, and itch.io. And feel free to let me know what you think this game is about. There you have it. At the heart of this mind control conversation, we are talking about consent in fiction. Because the real life forms of mind control that corporations and governments use on us every day are completely acceptable. However, denying a consumer the choice to read a book or play a game because, somehow, fictional content is the real threat. It just seems crazy to me. Until next time, no shaming, just gaming. Thanks to all this month's support on Patreon. I wouldn't have been able to do this without you all.